How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs co-beat writer on SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today. As we get closer to the regular season, a lot of moves have been going down for the Kansas City Chiefs since the conclusion of the preseason. So I figured today, in today's podcast, we will be recapping some of the recent moves as well as seeing some of former Chiefs now where they stand going into the 2025 campaign. Yesterday, you might have checked it out. It was dissecting about if the Chiefs should panic or not, depending on the way that they played in the preseason. If you missed that, go check it out. But is there really panic? Who knows? Because I don't necessarily think that the Chiefs are in a panic mode, but I do think that the preseason taught them something enough to where they were saying, we got to make some moves. And they have made some moves. So here we go with the recap. Most recently, on Sunday, August 24th, the Kansas City Chiefs made a trade with the New York Jets to swap conditional 2027 picks in this 2027 6th and 7th round picks for defensive tackle Derrick Nnadi. As you know, the former Kansas City Chiefs, he will once again be donning a Chiefs uniform in 2025 after a season that he had where it was a lot of downs. There were a lot of career lows. He played in 17 games, but he was well below average according to Pro Football Focus. However, when you look at the Chiefs' depth chart in their defensive tackle room, whether it be on the left side or the right side, there looks to have some concerns going forward. Yes, you have Chris Jones, but you don't know if Chris Jones is going to be able to continue to be how he was in the past. You did draft Omar Norman-Lott, and while, yes, he has the upside to become a potential player, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're still in a Super Bowl window to where they need to ensure themselves very strong on that defensive tackle room. They did sign veteran in Jerry Tillery after Nnadi was signed by the Jets. And while it was a smart move, kind of, if you think about it, for the Chiefs to bring him back as a relatively inexpensive contract, and he's already familiar with how the things work in Kansas City, whether that be through the defensive scheme of defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, or just having the integrity and the comfort of being in the Chiefs building. But from a business standpoint, Nnadi is going to be able to, he doesn't have to go through these ebbs and flows of a season. He's been in Kansas City. He's used to a winning mentality, getting away from the New York Jets for a potential draft pick and conditional is, a smart move, especially with where the Kansas City Chiefs sit in the defensive tackle area. We saw in the final preseason games, the last two, I alluded to this in an article written about Derrick Nnadi signing or getting traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, on what it means for them. Following the last two preseason games, it shows that the defense could definitely need some upgrade. And that's not that Nnadi is going to be a starter out there. He's going to be a depth piece, but it does add that veteran presence in a room, in an area, in a defense that kind of needs some more stability. I don't care if it was the second or third string out there for the defense and what cost them these preseason games. The Kansas City Chiefs, their offense has been kind of mute in the preseason, and then their defense has also been letting up some extra points. We're used to seeing a strong, cohesive defense for Kansas City. And while, I've said this multiple times, you have to practice how you want to play. You preach what you speak, You speak what you preach, rather. You believe in that. And if they're going to go out there knowing, or they're going to be half it, they need to be doing so in a way or they shouldn't be doing that, rather. But Nnadi, bringing him back to Kansas City, it could be a move that benefits them down the line of the season, especially if the depth needs to be talked about. And then we come to a recent Also, a recent trade that the Kansas City Chiefs made with the San Francisco 49ers, sending former second-round pick wide receiver Sky Moore to the 49ers for a 2027 sixth-round draft choice. And we talked about this a whole lot on the podcast throughout the offseason. Sky Moore was the guy he was the odd man out. He was the guy that had to be replaced. He wasn't living up to the potential that the Chiefs were hoping to get from him, being a second-round pick. So now, hopefully, donning a 49ers jersey, he can find his mojo and still prove that he can be a player in the National Football League. But seeing how the likes of the competitiveness in the Chiefs wide receiving room, whether that be Tyquan Thornton stepping forward or having returning players in Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, as well as the veteran leadership and presence in Juju Smith-Schuster. There's a lot of areas that Sky Moore just kind of stuck out as a sore thumb in. Getting a 2027 sixth-round pick could also develop into something that turns into a good choice for the Kansas City Chiefs. Granted that Sky Moore has probably just been playing at that level. He was never once he got picked up as a second rounder, he never lived up to the potential of a second rounder, and that's why he was traded for a late round draft pick in the future. But that does mean some good things for Chiefs rookie and Jalen Royals, as he could definitely be seeing a lot more production this season, whether it is before or after Rashee Rice is suspended, or if it's on special teams, or if it's in the receiving game. Jalen Royals, now with Sky Moore out of the picture, has a more clear path to see more success in his rookie campaign. There's also news that former Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Carson Wentz did sign with the Minnesota Vikings, also happening on Sunday, August 24th. You knew that he was going to get picked up, and it's nice to see a guy who was once Patrick Mahomes' backup go off to another team and hopefully find his way back to helping a franchise in finding their way back to the playoffs. That being said, though, be sure you follow me over on X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss anything as we get closer to the regular season. You can also follow us over at KC Chiefs on SI, where we post every day exclusively free for you, the viewers. Kansas City Chiefs on SI is a place to get your news. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I am Dominic Minchella. Be kind to one another. We need more of it in the world. And I will see you tomorrow.